Okay, in this video we will continue on the beginner's guide to Pygame in Python. So if you're just starting with this video, you're going to want to go to github.com, Programming Rainbow, Beginner's Guide to Python. You want to clone that repository, and since we are in the fourth video, you will want to take the code from the third video. I'll show it to you right here. In this folder that says video 3, you will want to take the main.py file from there and move it into the top level directory, because that's the code that we are working with today. So let's just show where we left off last time. That is Python there. So we have Pygame moving around the screen there. Is that text? We can change the background color. We have a title up there on the window, and we can close it with escape. So in this video, we will be loading a player sprite, and we will be moving it around the screen with our direction keys. So we're going to be using different way to pick up keyboard events than we did in the past. So we already know how to load and convert images to the faster version. So I'm not going to cover how to do that since we've already done it. I'm just going to copy this line here. And I'm going to go down here, give myself a new line. And we will call this one Sprite. And the image that we're loading here is going to be in images, and it's going to be the Python logo. And we are converting it right away. So that's going to load our image. And we already know how to get a rectangle from an image too, because we've done that in the last video. We actually don't need it, but if we wanted to, we could use the exact same method to say self sprite dot get rect, but we actually don't need the rectangle for this image. We do need a velocity though, so we will go self dot sprite vel, and we'll say this one is 5, so it'll be able to go faster than the previous. The text is moving at 3, so the text was moving at 3, and it's 60 times a second, so it's about 180 pixels per second, and 5 will be moving at about 300 pixels per second. That's the velocity of it. So let's just show this before we move any further. So down in the draw section, right here, we can just draw it on the very top. So whatever you put on the very bottom is going to be on the very top, because it draws back to front. So say self.screen.blit, and then self.sprite, and we will just use we will use a rectangle for this. Yeah, so we're not checking bounds on this one, but we can just use the rectangle to be able to move our X and our Y. So I am going to take this, and right below here, I will just paste it, and we'll change this to sprite. That will get us our rectangle from our surface. So our sprite rect will be the get rect from the sprite surface. Okay, so to display it, we will just do the same thing. We'll use the rect to display where it is. And we haven't set anything, so hopefully it'll be at 0, 0. Okay, let's give that a try. Okay, so up here in the top left-hand corner, we have loaded in the Python logo. Okay, so we want to move this around, but we want to do it, we don't want to use the same method. Well, actually, let's talk about this for a second. So I have been using this if else, but another way that you can take care of events in most games is by using, so we have a match case statement. So I'm going to convert this right here before we go any further to a a match case statement, and then we will not use this to move the sprite around. So we'll start with the same for loop, but inside of the for loop, we'll match on the event type. And now that we've matched on that, we can have our case. We'll say case PG quit. And for PG quit, we can do it's going to be giving errors for a little bit because it's kind of half and half code. So we can make it just like this. And so the next one, we can do the case if it's a key down. So the case if it's a key down, and if it is a key down, we're going to put another match, and we're going to match on the key type. The event key. So on the event key, we can check if the case is escape. And this one will be so that's what it looks like if it was it's moved over a little bit. Let's see, am I still okay? I'm fine. So it has moved over a little bit because we have this nested for. We have a for, and then we have a match inside of the for loop, and then we have another match inside. But that's going to handle all of the event types. But when we're actually moving a sprite around, we don't want to use this because these are events. These things are when a key has gone from up to down, and that one event from going up to down has happened. But what we want when we're moving sprites and game objects around the screen is we want them to move if the key is in the down state, not if a key press has happened, but if the key is just down in that frame that it's being checked, then we want the movement to happen. So this isn't going to work for us here. What we need to do is we need to get the state of the keyboard. We don't want the event, we want the state of it. Like, is the key being pressed right now? So if we look at keys, we have so we're in the section where it's just key. And we're looking at the get pressed. Get the state of all keyboard buttons, yes. This is going to return an array of booleans that we can index into by using the same, where is it here? These right here, these values right here are actually the indexes into this array. So if we use, say, K up, the keyboard up key, that is going to return us a boolean true or false in the array if that, so say K up is key number 150. So 150 in the array is going to hold a boolean to whether this key is being pressed up or down. So what we'll be doing is we'll get the array from this get pressed, this right here, Pygame key get pressed. We're going to get the array from this of what all the keyboard looks like, and then we're going to index into it to find out if we want to move our character in different directions. So I'm going to make just like we had to update text, I'm going to make an update sprite. So here's your update text. I'm going to put just below it, I'm going to do an update sprite. Okay, and the very first thing I want to do is I want to get that array of the keyboard. So it's going to be Pygame key get, is it get pressed? I think it's get pressed. Yeah, it's get pressed. Now we can just I'm going to use separate if statements, and you'll see why in a second. So I'm going to say if it's left, move it to the left. If it's right, move it to the right. And I'm not going to use an if-else statement or anything. I'm just purely going to use an if on each of them because I want each of them to be individually checked. I don't want them to be skipped over. So I'll say if keyboard, and remember, we're indexing into this. So we're indexing into this array, and it's Pygame, it's k left, and that was on that page that I showed. There's an up, down, left, and right. So if keyboard left, sorry, this is not PK, this is PG, Pygame. If this is left, we want to decrement the rect x by sprite velocity. So this is self sprite rect dot x, and it will decrement because we're going to the left by self dot sprite velocity. Okay, and then I'll do the same for I'll just copy it. I'll do the same for the right. It's going to look pretty much the exact same. Okay. And this one we will increment, not decrement, so I'll change that to a plus. Okay, so we've created this update for the sprite to move it. Well, we need to call this, so in the update right here, I'm just going to add the calling of this. So this will be self.update sprite right there. So I should be able to move the sprite left and right. So let's try that. There's left, there's right. Now the reason why I put them on separate if statements is because if I press both of them at the same time, it doesn't move. If I had an if else, if it was left, else, right, or else if check right, if they were both pressed, it would always just move left. I don't want that to happen. I want them to cancel each other. So, and I want diagonal to be able to happen. So that is working perfectly. I believe in Python we just use or, right? So I want to extend this. So I'm going to say or keyboard, and I'll say pg dot k a. This one. Keyboard pg d. Let's double check these. Maybe it needs to be a lowercase. Yeah, I think it needs to be a lowercase letter. So these are not capital A, it's lowercase a. And this is lowercase d, I believe. So I'm just going to double check that that works as well. So I'm pressing D, I'm pressing A. Now it doesn't go faster if I press both. So I'm pressing D and right. It still goes the same speed, A and left. Okay. So I'm giving it two options to move. You can use the ASWD keys as arrow keys, or you can use the arrow keys. And either one of them will work, or they'll work in combination. They don't, doesn't matter if you press both of them. It's all fine. So this is our left. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just copy this for the up and the down. So we'll say up, and this one will be W, and down. This one will be S. Okay, for it's still decrementing to go up, but it's on the Y, and then it's incrementing to go down, but it's on the Y. So I can go down, up, left, right, and I can go A, D, S, W. I can do them in combinations. Okay. The reason why it goes faster diagonally is because we're not normalizing. So if I tell it to move 5 left and 5 down, diagonally speaking, that is, more like 7.5 thereabouts. It's larger because we're not normalizing it. But that's fine for this demo. We don't need to worry about that. We're just moving things around. And also we can go off the screen. Nothing is stopping us from doing that. We're not checking any of that. That's perfect. And we can still change the color. So let's make sure that we change this. Is supposed to be Player Sprite up here. Okay, Player Sprite. Just double check that that is correct. Yes, that looks good. So in this one, we have basically done a couple things that we've already done. We're loading an image. We've already done that before. We're getting a rectangle from the image. We are creating a velocity. So we've done all of these things previously in other videos. We did change the input to a match case statement. It's not really affecting much, but if we had more things in here, it would be a little bit maybe more convenient. But it's all operating the same way that it was before. And we've added a new update for Sprite. And what we're doing is we're getting the state of the keyboard, if keys are in the up state or down state. So if they're in the down state, they'll be true. So if any key is being pressed, it's true. So it's saying if left key is being pressed, if that's true, or the A key. Either one of those, it's going to move the sprite to the left. And if opposites are being pressed, it's not going to move at all. And it's doing it for the X and the Y. We're handling all the directions. And we are drawing it with the self screen blit, the same way that we've done with the text. And we have just made sure that we are putting an update sprite into the main game loop right here. And I think that is everything for that one. So that wasn't too bad. Hope you enjoyed that. The next one we will be adding sound and music. So again, thanks for watching and bye.